Hi, plastic people. Today we're going to start on the Trident frame from the Formbot kit. So here is the assembly manual. I've already got the extrusions laid out. You can see them on the left side of the table there, laid out in the order that they recommend in the Trident manual. You can see my Steve Builds hexagon tray there we'll use for parts. And then I picked up this small parts organizer from Harbor Freight for like $3 to hold all the hardware for this kit. It had pretty much enough containers or enough sections for everything that was needed in this particular kit, with a couple of exceptions like the standoffs for the bed and a few other things that don't really need to be in there anyway. So pretty much all the hardware's there. That'll be nice. I did end up ordering the a pre-assembled LED kit for the Stealth Burner tool head from Amazon for like 10 bucks, and it even came with resin printed clear parts. So it's like that'll be perfect. I won't have to deal with printing those out of clear PETG or clear resin on my resin printer. I do have all of the heat sets already installed. I've already taken care of that off camera. I didn't think anybody would really worry about seeing heat sets installed. If you'd like to see how I put heat sets in, let me know. I'd be glad to do a video for that. Not too much of a problem to do that. It works out easily enough. And then I also did put the magnet and the heater on the build plate. The heater was a bit smaller than expected for that build plate size, but it should still get the job done for what I'll end up using this particular printer for. It's not such a big deal on that. It's the right size as far as wattage and should work out to heat up that bed fine. And it'll be enclosed anyway. I did decide to go with the magnetic enclosure clips. So now I've got 100 odd magnets to insert in all of that, make sure they're all in the correct polarity. I'll do all that off stream. I might save one or two to do on stream when we get to panels. That way, if you want to see what those clips look like, how the magnets go in, I'll have those. I printed out a couple of different hot shrouds for the Stealth Burner. One was for the Big Tree Tech Nomi. I do not know for sure if I've got one coming or not. Big Tree Tech reached out to me asking if I would be interested in it and show it on stream and use it in a build. I was like, sure, go ahead and send it. Here's my address. I haven't heard anything back, so we'll see if that shows up. If it does, I've got the shroud already printed. If it doesn't, I've got the regular shroud printed, so I'm set either way. I will still be doing the Big Tech Pi alternative along with CAN bus and the EBB 36 toolhead board, unless they decide to send me the 2240, I believe, board, the two-piece CAN board that goes on there. If they send that as well, then I'll do that. I do have a WaveShare 4.3 inch. I don't remember if I showed that in the unboxing, but it's a 4.3 inch touchscreen. I'll be using that instead of the standard display. It's not a needed thing, but it's nice to have. I like being able just to watch over, tap on it, and choose what I want. The only Voron I've got that has a regular screen with the dial is my V0. It works fine. You don't need a screen. You can do everything through Clipper, but it's nice to be able to do set temps and unload and load filament right there at the printer without having to carry your laptop with you or go run the macro and then run over to the printer to get everything loaded or unloaded. But let's go ahead and get started with this frame. So I'll bring up the manual again, maybe, if it will change my camera before hitting start streaming, and it was working. All right, so here's the manual. Just scroll down through everything. And introduction to blind joints, which we'll be doing the blind joints today. Hopefully we can get at least this far. While I was doing the heat sets yesterday and this morning, I realized there was a whole bunch of stuff I forgot to print. It was all skirts and the feet pods. So about 48 hours to print on my Prusa. Right now the salad fork is down, getting upgraded to boop. I figured I was already down with other issues, and while I had it apart for fixing those, I'd go ahead and do boop and get that working correctly. So it's not printing. The V0 is printing, but some of those bigger pieces don't fit on the V0 bed. The 2.4 is down. It's going to be getting CNC tap soon. And it has some other issues related to the recent updates with the Z calibration and that. So it's not working. I figure I'll just take it down instead of messing with the software and getting everything working right. I was going to go ahead and just upgrade to CNC tap and do it all at once. Just been slow to get to it because I've also got to upgrade from dual MGN 9s to a single MGN 12 for tap. So that includes tearing the whole X-axis apart and rebuilding it. I've just been reluctant to do so. I'm just not been looking forward to that. So it's down. So the only two I've really got printing are the Prusa, which is nowhere near as fast as the Vorons, or the V0, which is just tiny. Granted, for the parts that would fit on it, I could probably have done everything in half the time, one piece at a time still, compared to the Prusa, but I'm fine. I'm not in that big of a rush to get skirts done. Right now it's printing the feet pods, 21-hour print for 4 pods on the Prusa. Probably would have been like 2 hours on the V0 per, so probably 8 to 10 hours on the V0 as opposed to 21 on the Prusa. But I love the quality coming off the Prusa. I still need to tune the V0 a little better, get a little better quality. All right, so here's my extrusions. I do believe we're using all the A extrusions and the D extrusions along with F and G in this. So, yeah, so it's showing all these here in blue. I've already got them laid out, like I said. M5 by 16, and I've got that. Nice thing about this kit was that everything, let's change to this one, everything was, if it will focus, all the screws nicely labeled. So when I got them in here, since they're all nicely labeled, I've got them assorted by size and such, and you can see these don't really have a place, but they're in with M2 self-tappers. They'll work fine there. We'll take our M516s and we'll just put them over here. It's the only one I'm going to use, I think, currently. Get that out of the way. I know they don't say you need it, but I use my thread locker here. And get one of the right, get the right size driver. And we'll use, looks like they're a 3mm for the driver. Now, since the LTT screwdriver did not come with a whole bunch of hex bits, I just bought one of these on Amazon. They're impact. They've got a variety. This one actually has metric and standard, so I've got the 3mm bit here. Make sure it fits in the screw, and it might. And these bits just snap in fine to the screwdriver. I just have to make sure I've got the right bit for these screws, and then we can get moving. That 3mm doesn't seem to want to fit perfectly in there. 1/8 does, which is roughly 3mm. So this is the first time using these particular bits. Now, my other 3mm driver from the cheap Amazon set seems to work perfectly fine in there. If I have to use it, I have to use it. I'm not gonna sweat too much on not being able to use these bits, and I've got options anyway, and my iFixit probably has a bit as well. It just won't fit in the LTT screwdriver. All right, let's see if I can get over here and all right, so lay it out. My stick of Loctite there, I've had it since my 2.4 build, and I have yet, it's as far down as it'll go, and I have yet to turn it up. It just, you don't need a lot for this. So we're going to get the C extrusion, which is the one with the hole. And then A extrusions. So here is the C, the hole in the middle. Take a couple of these and thread them in. Maybe thread them in. It doesn't seem to want to bite. Let's try one of the A's. Okay, so that one's going in there. So either tap's not very good, or sometimes the screw may not be all that great either. And I do have clamps, and I do have my corners as well as my tile here to keep everything close to square at least. And it doesn't take much. You can see I'm not putting a whole lot on these. You don't need a whole lot, especially for the frame. It's not going to experience that much problem. Yeah, I might have to clean these taps up If that's the case, then we can keep going with more and I can get that done later. Because I've got to remember where I put my tap set. Just getting these in a ways. And it is showing all of the A's, so we'll just keep going with all of the A's. Maybe I should have brought my drill up and just powered these through. I don't think that the LTT screwdriver is going to be any better than this little cheap one from Amazon for this stuff. Guess I could use the ES15 or 126, but it really isn't taking any time to get these threaded in. So what little bit of time it would save, probably not even worth it. And then I need to find my H extrusion, which should be this one here. And the taps on all these A extrusions seem fine, but it does not seem to want to go into this other one, this C extrusion. Just the tedious part of doing this is getting all these screws in, getting everything prepped. That's why I went ahead and did the heat sets off stream. I figured, you know, that's pretty much everybody's probably seen that, and if you haven't, like I said, just let me know and I can do a video on how I do those. I just freehand it. I don't have a special jig. I haven't picked up you know, kit pizzas or that to do Vector 3D's VLMP, or I did see on Steve Build's stream this past weekend with him and Pooch, where Pooch had brought the Naomi Wu insert tool. A bit on the pricey side, but I guess if you're doing a whole ton of these and you need to, or you've got, you know, a line where you need to have that precision set each time where it goes to the exact depth, that might be something worthwhile for you. Or, you know, just use Vector 3Ds if you're just doing one here, one there. I mean, I think it's the kit from him with the hardware. It's more expensive to ship than the kit is if you're in the States. but he's got a full BOM, and you can purchase just the STLs from him to do the printed parts yourself, and then go pick up the hardware pieces. So that would be good. I've seen other people say they're going to do their own based on by almost copying Naomi Wu's design. The nice thing about hers was it defaults to down, so you can set a depth, put the heat set in, let it press it in real slow, and then it'll always end at the correct depth and make it nice and easy for that consistent depth of insertion at least. Now this is the H extrusion. It's a little shorter, and it only gets the screw on one end. And that is because this will be the one that slides into this extrusion. And gives us that upright in the back. So let's see if I can get this started. Yeah, these threads don't seem very good. Or they may be non-existent. Ah, that would be why. Threads were not cut into these ends. So, if I can keep from hitting the tripod and knocking the camera over, the angle's going to change a little, but at least it's still working. Let's see if I can get my tap and die kit out of here. And since I don't plan on tapping and dyeing anything other than aluminum and plastic, the cheap Harbor Freight is just going to have to do the job. And even though I say the cheap Harbor Freight, it really wasn't that cheap. I think it was 80 or 90 bucks. The reviews seem to be pretty good on it, so I'm not going to complain too much. Let's make sure this is the M5. That looks correct. Threads look correct. All right, so tap tool. Try not to hit the camera tripod again. Go nice and slow. I don't have any oil on there to help with that, but I think we'll be all right. We have to, definitely going to have to come in here and run the vacuum. I do not know how well this is going to clamp to this cheap folding table. Not bad. There we go. All right, not great either. Bring it over here and then we'll test and see. Yeah. Well, at least it starts now. Yeah, this will just be a little slow going, it looks like. Maybe I need to get my other table and put it in here for the next stream. It's a little more sturdy. And then looks like I'm actually out of, let's see if I'm in here. Yeah, a little bit. So I'm going to have to take this almost all the way in. At least it's aluminum, so it cuts easy, being a nice soft metal. Would have been better to do this on my tool bench, I think. This is why you buy a kit though, so you don't have to do this kind of thing. Let's see if I can get better leverage. What's this? I may just have to take them down to the tool bench. Don't want to twist the extrusions out of straight if they're straight. And I don't have any music to play, so we just kind of have to go with it. And if I have to run down to the tool bench, I'll run down to the tool bench. I've got a bench vise down there I can put it in. Keep it straight as I can. So we're almost buried. So let's bring it out and see what we get. Do this over my little trash bin here, and hopefully not as many metal shavings will need to be vacuumed up. One of these days I'll get around to pulling all the furniture out of this room or moving it off to one side while I do the other and get hardwood in here, or laminate or something. That'll be a nice weekend or two endeavor. I think it took me a weekend to do the master bedroom, which is a little bigger than this room. Okay. Just knock everything over. So now that there are threads tapped in there, I can screw in my screw. Hopefully I've got them deep enough. Would have been even nicer if this was on the one that only needed to go in on one end. All right, I am going to run down to the workbench to tap the other end. Really think that's going to go a lot quicker that way. So I'll be away for a minute. I'll put it on the desktop here. That way you can at least stare at the extrusions, and I'll keep the mic on so it'll be open. I think I've got some 3-in-1 oil down there as well that'll probably help with it going in. Take my screwdriver, that way I can test it. I've just got to go down to the garage to get to where the bench is. Walk right by the door where the dog's at, so maybe she'll want to come in. She probably will once I go into the garage and she thinks I might be leaving. Yep, of course she wants in because she saw me. Let's get this in my bench vise and get it tapped, and then I can get back up to the streaming setup. And I am basically directly below where the streaming setup is right now. Maybe a little off to one side, but not by a whole lot. And this should definitely hold it in place. I just have to come back and clean up everything I dropped. I guess I could have done it a different way to where I'm doing it straight up and down, but I've got it in the bench vise, laying on its side basically. That way it holds the entire piece clamped in there rather than just a little bit of it. Maybe I don't have 3-in-1 oil. I don't see any. Thought I did, but maybe I just have the tri-lubricant. Tri-flow will work. Having this clamped in lets me use both hands as well, so that's nice. more torque on this as I turn it to make sure it's cutting those threads. That little bit of tri-flow seems to have helped too, making it go in a little easier. Oh, the smell of cutting aluminum mixed with PTFE from the tri-flow. Remember those smells from working on cars in my youth and workshops, wood shop, metal shop in high school. I don't even know if they do those anymore in schools. I know they did when I was in school, but that was 30 plus years ago, so it's been a while. Get this in nice and tight. I'm gonna finish off the other side as well. There we go. Nice and easy with the tri-flow on there. Makes it cut through real nice. Hopefully I am not bending this extrusion out of square when I'm torquing this die into it, or tap into it. I can see it moving in the vise a little, but hopefully it's not that bad. And I'm basically just making sure I've got enough threads. I'm just burying this thing all the way into the hilt, as deep as it'll go. That should be plenty of thread for the 16 millimeter M5 to catch. Probably a little more than it needs, but I'd much rather have too much than not enough and then have to just pull everything out again and retap it. So it just takes a little extra time to run the tap all the way in. Hopefully this is the only extrusion where they haven't gotten cut, and I'll have to email Formbot support and let them know. Luckily I have tap and die set. I know quite a few people probably don't, as it's not something that you would necessarily need in your day-to-day. And the cheap ones, mid-range ones like this in price, will probably be more than enough for anything that I'm liable to do, but I wouldn't expect some of the cheap ones to even cut through the aluminum extrusions like this. nice smelly bit of aluminum and oil and warm extrusion from cutting into it. Clean up the oil on each side, and then I'll be back up to the cameras and I'll come down and clean up my mess and the stuff that got knocked over afterwards. Make sure before I leave here that my screw thread's in both ends. And it does. So we are good. I will inspect the rest of them when I get back upstairs. And I'll have the dog with me because she had to come in as soon as she saw me. And she hears the dog next door barking right now, so she's got to stop and listen to make sure what's going on. All right. And there she is. Hey, Joshua. So far, with the exception of this extrusion that I had to just go tap, which now has tap threads. Luckily, I had my tap. Other than that, I've been happy with it. I love that they've got everything labeled in the bags for all the hardware. And even, I didn't notice it on my unboxing, but even all of the, I don't know if you can see it through the plastic, but all of this is labeled very nicely. For the wiring, all it's cut. It's got the Wagos and everything. Oh, but luckily I have a tap and die set, so I was able to tap this extrusion. I'm going to go through the others here in a minute once I get this screwed in, because yeah, it's quite annoying that this wasn't tapped. At least it's aluminum, so it's soft and fairly easy to tap. But, and I don't know which ones of these are going to need to be tapped, but this one is tapped. This one is not, but well, it's tapped on one end. That would have been nice on this one that only got, this one was tapped on both ends, but only needed it on one, which this one will slide in here. So let's see, those are not tapped on that end and not tapped on that end. Those don't need to be tapped. Some of these don't need to be tapped, so it may not be such a big deal for them. And then others do need to be tapped. So not the thing you want to find out when you go to it. Yeah, I'm worried about the electronics, but most of their pre-cut and pre-crimped stuff I won't even be using since I'll be doing CAN bus. But like everything looks to be nice, and it's labeled extremely well, to the point where, so this is for your hot end heater and heater tube there, and then even on this other end it's got the little thing that says heater tube. I don't know if that's coming through or not, but at least that part's good. It came with the Big Tree Tech Octopus. The SSR looks to be a genuine Omron. I'm not 100% sure how to tell. So, but compared to the genuine Omron that was in my LDO kits, it does look to be a genuine Omron. Now, I know some of the counterfeiters and that have gotten really good at making it look just like it is the real thing. So I'll have to look up something to tell me if it is or not, I guess. All right. So we've got the back extrusion, which is the one with the hole in it. This one here. And then one of the other A extrusions. And I'm going to try not to knock over my Nikon. We need one of these extrusions. And I don't know. I did not get the tap kit with mine. I did pick up the CNC tap. And I've got it for my 2.4 as well. So I will be doing CNC tap on this one and CNC tap on the 2.4. And my solid fork is halfway through getting the boop. This one, even though it said it came with the stuff for stealth burner, it has all these injection molded parts that came with it. And they've got the standard afterburner stuff. So they came with the standard afterburner stuff. So the thing for the screen, I've got a WaveShare touch screen I'm going to use, so I won't use it. I'm not going to use the filter area. I'm going to seal that off. So these are all worthless. And the worst part about it is these have the cheap heat set inserts. So I'm not even going to be able to grab the heat set inserts out of there. The hardware so far that I've used out of the kit, like the heat set inserts I've already done all the heat sets, or most of the heat sets. Those seem to be really good quality heat sets. I was not really expecting that. But I'm going to need to put it this way so I can get my hand in here. But yeah, they do seem to be much better quality than what I was hearing about them. Granted, that might just be as late as I've gotten it. It might have been completely different had I bought it 6 months ago or a year and a half ago. This might be a better camera angle. Get these in here, and this might not be the flattest piece, this tile, but it does seem to work really well for me. So I'm going to keep using it. I did pick up a much larger piece of quartz countertop that ended up going underneath my 2.4 as a nice base to help keep it steady. So get those in. Let's see. Now I've got to slide. Wherever my back piece is the one that I didn't turn the right direction. Got to make sure that the hole is up on the back piece. Does not do any good to have the hole in the wrong spot. All right. need this piece here with the one on the other. I will be running the Revo. I've moved basically all of my Vorons over to the Revo, and I've got the Revo V6 to put in my Prusa as well. It's just it'll make some things so much easier to have the Revo in everything. And then if I need to change nozzles or that, if I've got a problem with the hot end for whatever reason, it just makes things so nice to have one ecosystem rather than having a Dragon in this one, a V6 in that one, and a Revo in the other, and a Rapido in one. I don't need the high flow that I would get out of something like the Rapido, so I don't print that fast. So the Revo's good, and now that the Revo high flows are out, I can always add those easily enough and bump up my speeds a little bit. So I think the Revo's just a good ecosystem to use. I do have the Rook kit on pre-order through Fabrico, and I'll be ordering a Revo. Well, that one I might do a Dragon, because that one will never get a nozzle change, and I've got a couple of Dragon hot ends as well. That one will be PLA only for small PLA parts, so that won't be as big a deal. But I'm looking at ordering a Micron kit from LDO and Fabrico as well. And if I do that, that one will get the Revo to keep in that same ecosystem. It's just so nice to have one thing for everything. All right, so we're gonna keep moving around. This is this one here. And we'll get this one in. Now that I've got the back done, let's do this way. Oh, I can't put it there, can I? That won't work. I can't screw it in. Well, I was trying to be a little nicer and a little more straight in. But yeah, now that the back's done, the only ones that you really have to worry about making sure everything is right is this hole. There we go. That hole on these uprights needs to be facing this way, so that when you put these aren't the mid frames, or these might be the mid frames, when they go in, they're at the right spot. All right. Try to make sure I've got good camera angles. And then kind of by feel to go in here and hit these nuts, tighten them down. I'll double check and square up and all that afterwards as well. May have to loosen and retighten some, but so far it feels good. So now that those are done, I've got to make sure that hole goes in that same direction, which that camera angle is not good for, but make sure it faces the other so that when I get to that point of putting those cross beams in, it'll line up with the hole in the back that's already put in. Some of this can seem a little tedious sometimes, but I'd much rather be doing this with my hands than just kind of sitting on the couch vegging out. So let's see if I can get. I'm watching Steve Build's stream. I say Steve, but my name's Steve as well. So too many Steves, I think. The guy that I play disc golf with every week, his name is Steve. So plenty of us around. All right, and again with the hole, I need to make sure it faces this way. Get those so there's not quite as much play in there. And I'll have to measure that back one too. It has to be in a specific spot, but I'll get to that in a bit. So let's see how we are. Assuming that my tile is flat, that looks really good. Okay. Yeah, so this should be 75. It's at 175, which this one only goes up to 150. This one, that one goes up to way more. Not quite there. I need to slide it over just a hair. All right, 175 and just a hair off. It doesn't look like it's 175 both ways. Got 175 there and 173.5 there. Let's see. Now 175 and 175. All right. Good, good, good. Let's see. So we've got this done. So there is a 200 mil extrusion. Should be this one here. Make sure it's 200 mil. That's not long enough. Oh. So that one's 33 mil. Does it say 200? Oh, I am building the 250, so 330 millimeters. So that one is got light glaring off of it, but that one is 33 millimeters. I do have my blue painter's tape. The dog decided she doesn't want to lay under the desk anymore, so she's going to move. Maybe she'll be nice enough to come visit later on in the stream. So I'm just putting a single layer of tape over these ends. Help keep from scratching. And then let's rotate this to where it's in that same orientation. And we've got that one there. And another A extrusion. Slide in, and let's see if I can just place this right now. There we go. Well, yeah, there it is. All right, there we go. So that's in. Make sure it's at a 90 degree, which, yes, that looks good. Rotate it all the way around again, and I did notice a couple of scratches on the extrusions, but that could have been from me and not from the kit. Everything was packed well, so I'm not going to complain on that front. And I don't, it could have been me bashing them around as I moved everything around over the last few days and weeks. Making sure these are flush with the sides, as well as being at 90 degrees, because I didn't check that on this side. So the front looked like it was a little indented. You can see here it's just a slight bit in. Easy enough to remedy that. There we go. Okay, so those are in. Rinse and repeat, that's done. 4A extrusions to do the top. And what I'm going to do here is flip it over. And then we'll do basically the same thing over here as we did already for the rest of them. Nope, I gotta screw that one in a lot more. Lift this one out, sitting out way too proud. There we go. And that one was a bit proud as well. And hopefully, make sure these are all in good, and hopefully building on this little tile gets us to where I don't have to do a whole lot of adjustment after the fact, because that's always nice. That one might be too far in. There we go. All right. Okay. Well, one more to go on here, and we're moving right along. Okay. All right. Well, assuming everything is cut well, which is probably not a good assumption since they couldn't get taps in one of the pieces, everything looks good. Everything is at 90s. We are corner to corner, about 57 and about 57. Let's flip it and check the top as well. Make sure we're still not rocking. That's good. About 57 and about 57. So extrusions look to be cut very well because there's looking nice and square. My 90s I did check for on all the corners using my machinist squares, so that's good. And the A and B drive idlers. All right, let's see. I think I was hoping to get to the feet even though those are still printing. Let's see how they're doing actually. They're coming along. Let's see if I can bring that one up. Let's go to desktop and printers. That seemed like I was missing a printer, but I guess I'm not. I've got 4 FDM right now and 4 in there, so we're looking good. See if this will load my webcam stream. Maybe not. So, not up. There we go. So those are for the feet, and you can see here expected total print time of 24.5 hours. You can see how slow the Prusa moves, and yeah, when I bought it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that was still, it was considered a fast printer. That was then. This is now, though. We've still got 18 hours left, so let's just say 11. That'll be 11 tonight, plus another 6 hours. So sometime around 5 or 6 a.m. So about the time I'm waking up, it should be finishing. Maybe even be finished and ready to pull off the bed. But I think we're gonna leave it at the frame today. And next week we'll pick up on the AB drive and idler. I don't know what time yet. I'm gonna try to set a time on Mondays to stream. I just have to work out when that's going to be best for me, and hopefully best for anybody that wants to sit in and watch. But we'll leave it off here now today at the frame being done. None of these are a really good angle. There we go, frame's done. So let's see if I can get a better angle with this better camera. No, doesn't quite fit in frame without moving the tripod. There we go. So the frame is done. It's all square. It's working good. No real bounces around. What you're seeing a little bit there is the table and the tile on it. So it's nice and square. Measured square when I use the tape. So that's good. Giving us a good base to put everything in. So next week we will continue with the idlers. I'll try to get the time set Sunday and go ahead and get the stream up on Sunday night with the time that I'm going to start streaming. That way, hopefully we can get more than 1 or 2 people in here and get a little more participation, hopefully. But yeah, we'll start with the AB drive and idler next week. By then, the few pieces I've still got left to print will be done, and maybe if I've got time midweek, we'll do either the tap on the 2.4 or finish getting the boop put onto the salad fork. I had to order a MGN 9 rail. The one I had is not boop compliant. The carriage has the wrong spacing. It was easier just to order a rail than mess with getting a new carriage and having to swap all of that out. So it should be good to go. So far, at least everything is cut well, even if tap holes were not there on the one. I will also go through the manual and see if everything else is tapped where it needs to be and get that done off camera. That way I'm not having to run down to the workbench to throw one of these into my bench vise to hold it steady while I tap it with my tap kit. All right. I'm going to go out and enjoy the unusually cool weather here in Tennessee. And I will see you guys next week for the AB drive and idler assembly. Maybe be a longer stream next week. We'll see, and see how far we can get. Like I said, all the heat insets are done other than a couple pieces I still need to print, which I think are just the fan mounts. I think that was all I had left was the feet that are printing now and the fan mounts that I'll print after. I think it was showing the fan mounts as an 8-hour print on the Prusa. I guess I could do those on the V0, but I only have one spool of the blue currently. I already burned through one spool, one of the two spools, which I did find out the reusable spools from Prusa. So if I need to order more Prusament, I'll just order the refill and slap it in the spool. So that's really nice. I'm glad they're doing that. Saves on some of the plastic that's going either into landfills or even just plastic that's going to the recycler. Save a little energy. All right, I will see you guys next time. We'll see how it pans out, whether it's a midweek stream for one of the printers that's down, or even the V6 Revo upgrade on the Prusa, which I have here. So it's good, it's ready to go. I'm hoping I don't need to run the cabling, but I might. That should be a quick and easy upgrade. But I will see you guys then. Everybody have a great week. Thank you for watching,